we go.
Tan Talk Radio Network.
Hi, this is Paul Harding, and you're talking sports with Randy Harris.
Welcome back to KO Radio. Mike Straka, Street Nat Matt, Joe Marquis, and Steve. Steve, as the ultimate producer of producers. How are you, Steve?
Great.
Good to hear. Your hair looks great today.
Thank you.
Amazing.
He really should be on the camera, that guy. Yeah. Turn it around. Give yourself a selfie.
So this is a
Go like this.
This is a rarity at Knockout Radio that I'm sitting in for the incomparable Randy Harris, and you know I've known Randy for a long time, and I've always been really nice to Randy, even when I was like on Fox News and I was running around at the Octagon with my camera, and I always see Randy, and Randy would just give me a dirty look, and I'm like, "What's up, Randy? How you doing, man?" No, I'm just kidding. He didn't.
And he was doing nothing.
No. No,
He's just there.
But but I say that about Randy. You know, he's got a reputation, right? We all know it. But I'll be honest. I've been cage side with him, and the way that he's respected in the UFC and the community. When Bruce Buffer will come over and personally shake Randy's hand and not say anything to any other media member, I've been there, and I saw that level of respect. So that's what really.
This is 100% true. The
so,
people he does know and who respect him. He's played a lot of flutes.
He does.
No doubt.
Yeah.
He's played a lot of flutes.
Right. And he's good at burning bridges. He's like burned a lot of those.
No, when one does get burnt, he talks about it for months though.
Yeah.
He dwells on it. Is he still talking about that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I try not to burn bridges. Bridges just burn down when I'm around. I just happen to be there. I'm like Bruce Almighty.
You ever get?
The first one?
Yeah.
The first one?
Is that with the boat? With
Yeah,
the
the
ark?
ark.
I think Randy's on it right now. He was on the original. Like he would take two of everything.
So gonna
No, we got his book. This is Randy's first ledger for his first cruise. Like,
The log.
that's his minutes.
Hero pays 500.
Yeah, he sent out a care package from like BC.
All right, we need to take a vote right now. We'll vote Randy off. Everybody who's in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I did not say anything.
Unanimous decision goes. No, but look, we were talking about politics earlier. I don't want to dwell on it long, but I do want to say this. Out of all the politicians like that are speaking now, like hot topics are always election time. We talk about borders and international relations and war and economy and interest rates. I mean, the things that people care about. I wore this shirt today because I want to see politicians talk about mental health. You know, and I wear the shirt as a reflection or illustration thereof. A lot of us, we carry internal baggage, right? Things that we carry internally, emotional baggage we carry for our friends, our family, people that we feel like they can't burden it themselves. So we carry their struggles, their inabilities to do so themselves. Then we have external we pick up and carry voluntarily, right? But all of us have internal. And so, like, letting go of fear, letting go of anxiety, letting go of addiction, like these things are what's crippling our veterans, our homeless, our citizens, home, like not abroad, not foreign aid, not other people's conflicts. And we got to take care of our own people first. And I haven't heard any of the politicians at any level talking about mental health on the campaign trail. And that's what
They talk about lots of drug addiction. They do talk about the opiate and the fentanyl problem coming through the border and stuff and killing. Listen, more people right now have died. I think this year. I could be wrong. Do not quote me on this. This year alone, than more people died in World War II, just of fentanyl overdoses. And that is crazy to think
I wish
about.
Randy was here. He was at World War II. He covered it. He was on the battle line.
I knew Hitler.
It's funny.
I knew Hitler. He was a friend of mine.
It's prescient that you talk about that, Matt, because just this week on John Anik and Kenny Florian's podcast, George St. Pierre, who is arguably the greatest fighter in UFC history.
He is the greatest fighter of UFC history.
John
Jones is not.
I agree with you. And he came out on the show this week and said he was terrified. He said I would wake up at night. I would lie to my trainers and lie to myself and say I'm ready for this fight. I had a great night's sleep because I wouldn't sleep at all the night before a fight. He goes, because I was terrified. Am I going to lose in front of everybody? Am I going to get beat up really badly? And he said it was the most terrifying thing he's ever done. And he said I had to lie to myself in order to get through that terror. and to go out and perform.
But that's anxiety. That's performance anxiety. I do it all. At least once a week. I have something so stressful.
We don't want to hear about your sex life.
that's a whole different story.
That's a whole other performance.
You got to air it up by hand instead of an electric pump. It's like, you're
Listen,
late to
she
work.
don't talk back. She don't talk back.
You're late to the radio show, and it messes up your whole day.
DQ is holding my order up, and I still didn't get it.
You know.
But anyway,
if that-
I wake up. I wake up at least once a week, totally anxiety ridden, having a small panic attack not because that's who I am, because I definitely have never had depression. No anxiety that just I can't explain it. Something at work, something stressful going on. I got a customer that's trying to bring me down. Whatever the reason is, but. I think that's just people who strive to do better. I think you're going to have that. There is no successful person who doesn't deal with what you're talking about George St. Pierre was dealing with, or what I've dealt with. I think you're more talking about mental problems, right?
Sure. Well, not just mental health. I mean, it's all associated.
Well,
It's all-
something you live with, something that comes.
Yeah, he's living with it.
Yeah, no, I've always dealt with it. I've always had to deal with it.
Do you hear voices and stuff?
Not voices, but like just insecurities. Like even
I
when
think everybody has that.
even
though.
when I was
That's
4.5%,
because I'm around.
even when I was a 4%.
What did you say?
It's because I'm around.
Yeah,
He
well,
has
even
insecurity.
when I was 4% body fat and I just won Mr. Universe and I had this perfect physique and I was so proud of it, right? I still didn't feel good enough. And that's the thing about mental health and bodybuilding per se, is you're chasing perfection and you're never going to achieve it.
Never.
And you're never satisfied. And while everybody else praises you
that
and tells you
creates
you look
winners,
great,
dude.
man, it creates like dysfunction. It creates like anxiety, stress, fear, depression. I mean, it's just like this never-ending cycle. You're
None of
never
those-
satisfied with what you achieve.
You
Like,
can't be successful without all those things. Depression, anxiety, all
Well,
that stuff. You can't be
But if
successful
you have a
without.
project, you're building a building, you finish the roof, and you turn the
Is it
project
a
over to
112?
what?
Is it a 112?
But you finish a 112 pitch roof, right?
And he finally finished that bad boy because I know it was steep and it took
And the
extra time.
Pennsylvania pencils don't roll off of it. You only have to shave them down. I mean, there's no pitch, right?
Right.
But you turn over the project because you feel good. You're like, all right, I feel satisfied. I feel accomplished, and I finished it, and it looks great. And now it's on to like the customer gets this finished product. In bodybuilding, you never get that sense of achievement or satisfaction. The trophy is like, I'll look better tomorrow.
People started getting dysmorphia, body dysmorphia, and they're literally jacked. They're always wearing big sweaters,
Yep.
For sure.
long pants.
Because you're embarrassed. You know you're not your best, and then it's this never-ending cycle, man. And you're 5 hours a day. It's a selfish sport where you just dive into
But
it.
any elite sport is selfish. People always. Randy Couture. People who are close to him, they don't like him very much. He's so selfish, and I'm like, what other elite athlete is not? They have to be
Talk to
selfish.
Michael Jordan, right?
Yeah, you have to be selfish, especially when you're a fighter or a wrestler. You got to be cutting weight. Everything is about your diet, and you fight with your girlfriend. How dare you eat in front of me? When you're starving, depleting yourself. I hated wrestling, man. I wrestled in college, and it was the worst 4 years of my life.
Were you a heel?
Steve Lene.
No,
Yeah,
no.
I love
you
you,
were
Randy.
a heel. And
No,
When
I
did-
think
when
you're
did you wrestle?
I think you're misunderstanding what type of wrestling.
He didn't come out for your baby face. you got a baby face. You look got a.
Listen, I was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, okay?
wrestling-
But it's funny though. I wrote 3 books, right? And I used to write news scripts like nothing. And I didn't go to college for journalism, and I went to college for cutting weight.
I write good emails
And
to pissed off customers. Yeah.
so
Yelp reviews.
people always say to me, people like graduate degrees from Columbia or NYU or Stern, Syracuse, all these things. Mike, how do you do that? I'm like, because I don't think about it. I don't care enough about it because I know it's good enough, and the audience isn't going to know it's not the best thing I could possibly do. And I see people stare at the computer for hours, and then I realize you're only writing one sentence, man. You got to move on, man. You have to move on because if you want it to be perfect, it's never going to be perfect in your eyes.
If you dwell on something, that's where you're going to stay.
That's right.
That's it.
I've taken the credit for something. I don't even want to say credit. The blame for things just to move on out of a situation.
Wow.
Literally, it's something you have to do. And it's.
Oh, so you're married?
I've been married twice.
Exactly.
but going back to the George St. Pierre comment, he could get away with that back then. But when I drove Henry Cejudo to the airport, he told me about the heart rate monitor that he wears when he sleeps, and based on how he recovers from sleeping, they'll program his next day of activity based on how he recovered or what kind of sleep he got. So
Wow.
now with the technology of the fighters, they're wearing the Oura rings or they're
good
wearing
stuff.
heart rate monitors.
Oh, yeah.
Now coaches know if you really got deep sleep and for how much time.
And you know, back in the
rested.
day, I'm 55 years old, so when I was cutting weight, especially in high school, we didn't have these kids today. They have nutritionists. They have people that look after their weight. They're not even allowed to cut weight anymore in half these high schools. They forbid it, which I think is great because I think I'm short because I cut so much weight. When I was 12 years old, I was cutting weight.
The UFC needs to adopt this natural weight cut like scenario, right? Should
Yeah,
we
but-
address that? Because
But
it's such a.
It's a little bit different though when you're in high school and
It's right.
college. You're younger.
And
It's a
you're-
lot easier to
exactly.
deal with.
Yeah.
Well, would it be better for the sport if guys fight in
No,
their natural weights?
know why? Because everybody's going to cheat. Everybody's going to cut
100%.
weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you'd have to start taking it away from boxing.
There was only-
Boxing even does it, but boxing has a million weight. They got a weight class every 4 pounds.
That's right. But do you know that the greatest 155 pounder besides BJ Penn was Frankie Edgar? And for years, Joe Silva wouldn't let him fight 155 because he was too small. And he goes, "What do you mean I'm too? I weigh 155." And Joe Silva was like, "You're going to get beat up." He goes, "Go into WEC." And Frankie refused to. He's like, "I'm not. I want to be in the UFC." And then he turned out to be the champion, man. And he was like,
Well, I think we should talk about. I mean, we should probably take a break. Hit our get our sponsors at. But when we come back, I want to talk about weight classes and should there be a 195-pound weight class?
you're listening to KO Radio on the TAN Network.
Hey, this is Mike Ditka, and you're listening to Talking Sports with Randy Harris.
Good job, man.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
8 Man Strong is not simply about the